for. Welcome to Meet My Friends with Daddy Porter and Doug Ziegler.
Hey, folks. Cheers.
We're here with the Taproom Travelers. I met them at BBC Montana, and I love to remind everybody. I don't have to remind you because you know about how I wasn't going to go to Montana and how it would have been such a fail. It would have been a big fail.
Yep.
And these guys are part of it because I would have never met them, and thus I would never be able to bring them on and show everybody the fantastic that they do. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Andy and Landon from Taproom Travelers.
How's it going?
How's it going, guys?
So before we get to your wonderful content that you guys know, the second I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I love this shit." I'm such a fanboy of your stuff. You guys already know. So we'll just save that part for. Well, I didn't save it, but so where did you guys start as far as craft beer goes? As far you guys are from, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, northern Wisconsin. So I believe this is where you guys met, found craft beer. Andy is now closer to me. He arrived in Madison area right before quarantine. And did we even see each other before quarantine? Once
or twice, yeah.
Yeah. We were able to like hang out. Now it's like So I don't know which one of you guys wants to start, but where'd you guys find craft beer? And we'll go from there.
You want me to start, Andy?
You're older than me, so it's only fair.
To hell with you, man. He's not wrong, though. So we actually all met at Menards. So we all used to work for corporate Menards. So those of you that live in the Midwest know Menards is the third largest home improvement chain in the U.S. And all of the people, Doug, you probably don't know, but it's better off. You're fine. You're not missing out on anything, man. You got Lowe's and Depot. You good?
Pretty much.
So anyway, we used to produce all of the commercials that Menards makes. So those of us that live in the Midwest know the "Save Big Money at Menards" jingle and how annoying that is.
That's you.
Yeah, that was us. Yeah. So. Yeah,
it's pretty successful. They still use it. So
we didn't produce it. They've used that since the 70s, early 80s, something like that. Yeah, so way before our time. But
you guys worked it for sure.
What's that?
You worked it.
Oh yeah, whether we wanted to or not, we had to work it. So all of everybody that's in the group, with the exception of Steph, who's Troy's wife, all of us worked at Menards at some point. Some of us, unfortunately, longer than others. And one day, Troy basically, I was almost out of Menards, and Troy came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do something creative with beer?" And I thought, geez, I like drinking beer, and I suppose we could do something creative with it, and call it a hobby. That way, people don't think I'm a drunk, right? So. So we got our cameras together. We just kind of cobbled up some gear, and Alex, another one of the guys that does the producing for most of our shows when we're not in quarantine. Sweet. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, Save Big Money at Menards. I try to get that out of my dreams.
Good luck.
It's even worse. The Christmas jingle's even worse, man.
Oh God.
And I love Christmas.
Especially when they start playing it in like September.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we produced all those commercials months and months ahead of time. So yeah, we got Christmas in August and September. Anyway, I digress. But man, I hope that grill's good for you, Darren.
Yeah, Darren's a barbecuer, so he knows what to buy. So
that's good. That's good. Hopefully they don't. Yeah.
Right. Oh, Menards. Darren's in Cleveland, Ohio, so they're moving over there.
Yeah. Well, they actually, before we left, they were already pushing into Ohio. It wasn't a successful push because people in Ohio don't seem to understand what Menards is.
At least when we were there.
Yeah, at least when we were, and who knows?
Everybody thought it was another dollar store or something like that.
Right. So I digress anyway. But so Lazy Monk, Troy had met Leosh from Lazy Monk and said, I think we got somebody who would let us shoot a video there. and I said, "Hey, why not? Let's try it." And I didn't even know where to find Lazy Monk at that time, because they were the old tire plant here in Eau Claire is a mess. Like finding anything over there is impossible. And so Lazy Monk was in one of the outbuildings in this little tap room. And so we did our first episode there, and that was 6 years ago. Actually, March. It was 6 years ago in March that we started this. So, and we kind of just went from there. I mean, we added Andy. Andy was already working in the department, and he had a similar camera to what I did, and it could shoot video, HD video, and we kind of just went from there. I mean, we started out with 4 of us,
something like that.
Yeah, and
you, Alex, Troy. Was there it?
Yeah, that was the first. No, okay. Not yet. No, not in the beginning.
So yeah, just 3 of you guys then.
Right, and so that's it was basically an excuse to go drink beer and do something while we're drinking beer. We never intended on, and I can't say that we're like super successful. We're not like popular YouTubers or whatever, but we have a loyal following, and it's just been fun. We've met a lot of great people along the way. That's kind of what's kept our friendship together, because we go do beer stuff and we drink beer together, and we got to meet people like Greg. There's never a chance that we would have ever went to a beer conference if we wouldn't have started doing this.
Right.
True. So can we talk about Lazy Monk a little bit?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm drinking.
Nice. Are we all drinking German beers? Not you, Greg. You're not.
I got the English mild.
I even had to look up what the proper glassware is.
Oh,
so
look at you getting all fancy.
How about this? International styles. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
2 Weizenbach, so that's really good.
Andy's drinking one too. So yeah.
For those who aren't familiar with Lazy Monk, I stopped there on a trip with the Medicine's Home Brewers and Tasters Guild. We had a big old trip up there. And if I recall correctly, again, tell me if I'm wrong, Lazy Monk is this brewery where the guy is literally from Germany?
Czech Republic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Czech Republic, yes. And he does just European, maybe it's just Czech styles. I mean, he does them straight to style, right? Is this the place?
Primarily, until people wanted IPAs, so then he had to make like a Czech style IPA.
Right. Yeah. And then his wife's behind the bar, right? His wife's behind the bar and all that. I'll give you my impressions, and I want you guys to at least talk about them a little bit, because again, that's where the story starts. But my impression of them was, when I first drank the beers, I was kind of a little bit put off, but the more I drank them, the more I understood them and the more I liked them. And then when he came out and his wife were talking about, and she has a great story, and she talks about how they moved and she met him and blah, 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 blah. And I don't mean to diminish it by blah, 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 but it's a big, long story. We could probably take an hour to tell that. But she at least took a half an hour. She was great. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, she was lovely. She was fun. She was engaging. But they have a different feel there, because, again, they're doing styles like straight from Europe, it felt like, and it was just nothing that I've ever tasted, even in the styles that I thought I knew, whether it be like the Maybach that you have or Weizenbach. I was like, wow, this is different. And I believe, you guys, I'll shut up and then you guys can talk, but I believe it's because he sources, like, his recipes are like authentically European.
His the grain bill that he uses, the grains that he uses, he's using German grains. So and he uses the same yeast for every beer.
Mm-hmm. He has a house yeast, which is probably what you noted about Greg, just saying that you had to get used to it because you probably just weren't used to the house flavor yet. But
yeah, it's a good spot, and I don't know. I think it's a place you have to stop especially if you want something unique. And with before pandemic, we had 7,000 breweries, so seeking something out unique is very, very as you guys already know. I mean, but you guys my point is that you started in a very unique place for beer. It wasn't like you just started in, I don't know, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I mean.
Well, and like I said, the place that he started, where the original Taproom was pretty unique anyway, and trying to find it, the fact that they got as popular as they did, to be able to move into the place that they're now, into what they made a German beer hall.
Mm-hmm.
The first place was unique in its own right, and they tried to make it as much of a German beer hall as they could. But I mean, we're talking like a place the size of my basement.
Right.
So
yeah, if you want a sense for the size of it, go back and watch that 6-year-old episode that we did.
Oh, okay. Which one is this?
The Lazy Monk episode. That was our first episode that we ever produced.
Okay. Great. That's a good reference point, because if you jump in later, I bet you it's a good perspective to see 1 years later and 1 years earlier, because
for sure we definitely nailed down our style a little bit more after that, and the first one's always going to be a little raw. So
Doug, we should go back and look at our first mess.
I don't think we have a style other than just kind of we stumble our way through it.
It's gotten better though, man. It's gotten better. Come on now.
It has for sure. And like now you guys have years of experience and all that stuff, so it's different. But like, what do you think the main difference is from when you started to where you are now with Taproom Travelers?
I think, and Andy can speak for this too, and it might have his own opinion. I think we're more comfortable doing everything that we're doing, as far as, what do we do when we go to a place and we shoot? Everybody has their own kind of designated thing that they do. And I think we're more comfortable from that. And then even like the vlog wise, I think more people that are even in with us, and even now wives and, Robin, fiance, are more comfortable being on camera than they ever would have been before. Are we still progressing? Absolutely. Right. If you're not getting better, then you might as well just stop. So I think we're getting better and better as we go. We don't have the budget to make some of the things that you see on YouTube. So, it's one of those things where we're making the best with what we got, and I think we're having fun with it. And really, if it stops being fun, then why do it anymore?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I couldn't agree more. And it's one of these things too, because I'm a little story is Doug texted me earlier today and was like, "Hey, are we on at noon?" And I was like, "No, it's actually 2 your time." He's like, "Good." I had a little bit of like, I didn't know what the hell was going on, anxiety. And I was like, "Man, if this is anxiety for you, we're going to stop this whole thing." Like, but it wasn't really. He wasn't like, he didn't have a full battle. It was just more like you guys know, like sometimes you're like, "Oh, I need to be on call like in 2 minutes." Like, what the hell was I doing?
I had this mindset. I was doing yard work. I'm like, all right, I got to get this stuff done. And then all of a sudden I sat down for lunch and I was like, oh no, did I forget? And then I like message him like, this isn't at noon, right? And he's like, no, it's at 2. And I'm like, so.
Landon, one of the things that I liked about you the most, and I don't know, it may have come up awkward by the way I said it, but it did have something behind it, which was I said you have a fantastic voice for radio.
Yeah, thanks.
And so explain why you do.
I don't know why I do. I can chalk that up to God. If you believe in God, that's how I. That's I really didn't do anything to affect that. I actually went to college for broadcasting, so I'll give you a real brief story about that. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life when I got out of high school. It was either be a chef or go into broadcasting. I really, really wanted to be on the radio. Actually, I wanted to be on the radio since I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. Those of you that, and Andy probably has no idea, maybe he does, who Wolfman Jack was. Yes. He was, one of the most popular radio DJs from way back in the day. My voice doesn't sound like his. I also don't smoke like Wolfman Jack did. So my voice will never be that way, which is fine.
He's the DJ on American Graffiti, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then the Guess Who made a song with him called Clap for the Wolfman. He was in that song too. Too bad Troy's not here. He'd have no idea what the hell we were talking about. Anyway, I really wanted to be him, so I emulated him a lot. I even went and bought like a little transistor microphone that you could transmit to your radio when I was a little kid. And so I practiced being a DJ. You know, back then I'd record on a tape and I'd introduce the songs, did all that stuff. So when I finally got to high school and I was like, what, really what's going to happen? They said the money's the same whether you're going to broadcasting or whether you want to be a chef. So I took the fun road and went down broadcasting road. And then I got to school and realized that radio, there is no money. I would have to be poor my entire life if I wanted to be on the radio. So I ditched that, went into TV. I worked in TV for 3 years. And then I actually got to be a chef at one point while I was working in TV. I was a Chinese chef at Hy-Vee for a couple of years. I think I was the tallest, whitest chef in the history of Hy-Vee. I'm pretty sure. And I embrace that. I'm okay with that. I'm good with it.
You still make damn good crab rangoons, though.
Thanks. Yeah, some of that stuff you don't forget. And if you really want crab rangoon and you can't go out, you got to make your own. So yeah, and the training is where I got some of my voice. You'll notice that, and those of us that are from Minnesota, if there's anybody watching that's from Minnesota, probably remembers Brown College. I think it was Brown College. Yeah. They did Mr. Announcer voice. That's how they trained the people that were in broadcasting. So, Mr. Announcer guy. And you had to talk like that all the time. The guy that taught me in broadcasting would have failed me if I would have talked like that. So, he said, embrace the voice that God gave you. And if you're not meant to be a voice, then I guess you just don't have it. So right. God blessed me with this voice, and I try to use it for good.
Cheers, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to watch very many of your videos. So Andy, are you also in doing some of the broadcasting with them? Like, what's more your role there? Landon was mentioning earlier that everybody does their roles when you go and do stuff. What's yours?
Yeah, so primarily my camera is usually locked down on a tripod, and it's going to be camera A for a lot of the interviews. Sometimes camera B, but it's usually always the one that's locked down on the tripod. And then if depending on who's at the shoot, it's either me asking the questions of the people in front of the camera or our other business partner, Troy. So if Troy's there, he usually asks the questions, but more often than not, Troy hasn't been able to come recently, so I've been doing that.
Damn lazy Troy anyway.
Wouldn't be a Taproom Trailer show if we weren't digging at Troy every now and then.
Right?
So you guys basically use your professional tools and stuff that you were doing there to pretty much just transition this, because again, I know you guys are, you're like, we're not we don't have money, we don't have a budget and all that, but you guys do pull off a very, very crisp and professional. Again, that's what blew me away the most about when I first started watching your videos, is how crisp and professional it looks. So to me, knowing your story now, because I didn't really know the full story, I didn't hear about Menards. Those connect dots to me, because again, you guys were doing this professionally, and then you were just able to transition. Because I probably told you like 4 times, I don't know if in awe is the word, but I'm just really respectful of your work, because I know how much work it takes to do what you guys do. So it's a labor of love, clearly, and it has to be, because I know we're seeing here you guys have sponsors and everything. But I mean, at the same time, even if, it's not paying the bills, and I know you both have, regular jobs that you got to do to feed the family. So I'm just another hat tip to you guys' work, because again, I try to edit a podcast and my head wants to explode. So I just couldn't imagine how to put together a 15-minute piece where you guys generally aren't in front of the camera, and where you're just pretty much showcasing the brewery and what they're doing. And again, it's not really even a question. Doug, hopefully you have one. I'm just talking about how much I like the whole video and how you guys came in. And again, landing your voice, even in the the vlogs and stuff. It's just another thing that makes it very, very easy to watch and listen. And I can put it on YouTube and like work around the house and still just hear what you guys are saying. And so again, hat tip, props, man. It seems like you guys have been doing it for 6 years. It seems like, for me, when I look at your stuff, it's like 16, I feel. So good work.
Well, thanks, man. We appreciate that. Yeah. The one thing, going back to Menards, you mentioned Menards and you didn't know about it. I think that the one thing that it probably did for us was help us learn to do workarounds and how to get by with what little we have. So when it's not that way anymore, but when we started there, we basically had no budget to produce commercials that we had. We had old equipment. We were still, the name Avid probably won't make much sense to you, but anybody that has video editing experience will know what Avid is. We had one editing machine when I started. And so it was a full department. They were still doing, I think, 8 to 10 spots a week on one editing machine. And so when I started, you were working 7 days a week, minimum, if you were an editor. So you were in on the weekends, and they don't care if you work overtime there. As a matter of fact, you're encouraged to do it. So
strongly encouraged.
Yeah, strongly encouraged, especially if you're a manager. When I was the manager of the department, 50 was basically minimum.
Yep.
So
even regular employees, 45 was normal. Right.
And so there was a lot of hours, a lot of workarounds, and you were encouraged to try to do what did Bob Prock always say? Make chicken soup out of chicken shit. I think that's right. That's what.
That's a great one.
So, and it's not that way anymore. Things have gotten better for the people that are there. I mean, they have equipment and a lot of it. And, God bless Alex, that's with our group. He got a lot of that in motion before he left too. So that's the other thing. None of us are there anymore. Right. We all got out and went to various other places, So I work for a travel company now. Jake works for CVTC, which is a community type college. We all do different things. We still stay in contact and we still drink beer together when we can, even if we have to do it virtually. But
right.
I mean, like the microphone that I'm talking on today, I think we paid $30 for it. So
yeah, mine's like a $20 microphone, something like that.
Right. So you just have to know where to look. You have to know what to, and I mean, I guess that's where our education, our background comes in. How to make the best out of the worst, I guess. So
as someone who works in IT and has for 20 years, I really understand that concept. some of the stuff I've had to work on, I was like, this stuff is 10 years old, and they're like, that's what you got to work with. And
right, yeah,
for sure,
best of it,
yeah. You do what you can, and that's how we started. I mean, like I said, it was all equipment that we already had. So my camera, Andy's camera. I think I bought a refurbed Tascam, which is just an audio recorder, an external audio recorder. And so we just kind of cobbled together stuff. Alex knew some things about, how we could get around, obstacles that we were figuring that out. And,
he also had the boom microphone, which was, we still use that thing to that day.
I think he bought a new one. The old one. Yeah, the old one was, but that was an expensive piece of equipment. Thank God Alex doesn't have any kids. And
that is a way of tamping down your wallet a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he likes to spend money on techie stuff. So, if he's like, should I buy this? I don't care. If you want to buy it, sure.
Yeah. And since not coming out of my pocket, he's actually gone out on his own, and he has his own video production company.
Right.
So that leads me to Doug always knows here. Doug knows exactly what I'm gonna say. At the time of this live stream, we are in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and this whole YouTube thing is about not only is it about you guys hitting the road and going to breweries, it's also about you guys being together. And if you look over in the YouTube channel, I mean, if you even go far back, there's even these round tables that you guys had where you guys all got around and drank different beers and talked about them and all that. And I know, again, I understand Andy just moved from where Landon used to live in that area. Andy just moved because jobs and stuff like that. So and it's funny too, not funny, but we were already trying to talk about, doing content together since Andy and I are closer and we can get together. And So what are you guys doing? As far as is there any new content going on the channel during pandemic times? How have you guys switched up your game? Because we see Brewery switching up their game, and that's a question we'll get to in a little bit. But how are you guys doing this, since your whole model of the whole YouTube is us, being together, or traveling as a group and working as a group? So how's that been working for you, or not?
Do you want to take this one, Andy? I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, I can definitely start out, but you'll probably have to take the reins again at some point.
That's fine. I can do
that. Yeah. Basically, how we're adapting is just kind of recording our own video segments here in our own houses. And then it's primarily just been that vlog content where we go through the beer tasting of the week. Those are the segments that we can kind of crank out week after week. So we do have one episode in the hopper that we're still working on. So that's TBD on when that's going to be released. But as far as shooting new episodes, we haven't really shot any of the longer content in a while. But hopefully once all this kind of loosens up, we can start doing that again. Originally, 2020 was going to be more of those. And then we also had a couple other projects that we were working on as well before this all started. So hopefully once everything kind of winds back up, we'll be able to start doing those. But yeah, for now, we're just doing those vlog segments where me and my fiance are recording a tasting. Landon, his wife, are recording a tasting. And then our partner, Alex, and his wife are recording a tasting. And then we kind of just edit those together. So it'll start with Landon and Beth usually, and then they'll throw it over to Alex and Vicky. And then if me and Robin have time to record one, they'll throw one over to us as well.
Oh, cool.
Or if we can get Troy to do something,
right?
to figure his camera out on his phone, which was really an accomplishment the one week that he did it.
So real quick though, before Doug jumps in here. So how many people are under the Taproom Travelers? Because I'm hearing other names here, and I had never met those guys.
Officially, I mean, in the LLC. So we are an LLC. We're an actual company, I guess. Yeah. I mean, according to the government, we are anyway. So,
right.
You know what the government.
Landon, that's what that means, Landon.
Anyway, officially, unofficially, there's 7 of us. The people that actually take part in most is, I mean, it's probably 4. So, and then, like lately, since this whole pandemic thing happened, we dragged our wives or fiance into it. And because I don't want to be sitting in this booth talking to myself, and I've thought about it. I really have. And when we first started, I thought, you know what? I guess hell, if it comes down to it, we still need content. And if I need to talk to myself about beer, I'll do it. But
right, you could just shift seats.
Yeah, I could.
Man, what do you think about this? Man, that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to edit that, but that takes forever to edit it, and I don't.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Might have to try it actually.
Yeah.
And you get what I got early on, which is it's hard to do a one-man show. It's hard to completely keep people captive if it's just you. Again, the people who do it all the time, or they've been doing it for a long time. Again, his name is really polarizing when I say it, and people are like, oh, but Rush Limbaugh is one person who can carry a show. Whether you like his content or not, whether you think he's shitty or not, the man can get on there and just command the show, and he's got 20 million people listening to him or whatever. So, but that, to me, that's rare. That's rare. I don't think people can just do that.
It's so alone. I mean, and I guess if you're good about being alone, or if you practice talking to yourself when you're alone, maybe you're better at it than I'm not that great at it. And I really don't want to be good at it. The other thing that's hard, the other thing that's hard too is when you have someone there, even when you have physically someone there, you still have to build a rapport with them. And you guys probably know this because you talk to each other quite a bit. When you're dealing with somebody new, and Troy and I do things. We were doing these things together every week until this happened. We were actually at the Pablo Center here in Eau Claire. We were doing live events. bringing
It's a big
in a brewer.
event. It's a big event center in Eau
Yep.
Claire.
Yeah, it's the big
those
arts
who don't know.
center in Eau Claire. Yep.
Mhm.
We were doing live events there, so we'd have 50, 55 people, bring in a brewery, talk to the rep or the owner or whatever, little beer pairing with food and that kind of thing. But we have a rapport together, so we could go an hour and a half easily. We could have gone 2-3 hours. But because we know what each other, and you guys know this, because we know what each other's thinking, kind of, and we kind of know each other's background, you can play off each other, and it doesn't seem like work. When you have someone sitting there that really hasn't, done this kind of thing with you very often, and you're taking jabs or you're making references to things that they don't get, you get a blank stare and you're going, shit, where the hell are we going to go from here?
Yeah. It's like when you're interviewing someone and you ask them a question, they just answer with a yes or no. Like, you're trying to get them to like elaborate on something. They're just like, yep, that's how it went. And it's like, okay, well, I can't use that now. So thanks.
Well, right.
Moving on.
Right. And Doug and I we are a work in progress in this area. Again, we've gotten a lot better, but I think there's always a room for, getting better and all that. Doug?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Doug?
Yeah, like this.
That wasn't too awkward, was it?
Craig and I have learned we've been doing this roughly a little over a year, and we've gotten a lot better at kind of seeing each other's cues. And, I don't know how you guys do it. We don't do hardly any structure. We like it to be very free form, flowing, and some guests that works really well for, and other guests it's not. And you never know until you actually have them on. You start talking to them. We've had some shows that went almost 2 hours. We've had some shows that went 45 minutes. It just depends what you can talk to that person about and how you jive. That's nothing on the guest. If the guest isn't jiving with us, that doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that we're not meeting them where they need to be met.
Sure.
And some people are hard to read. When you've been, you look at people and you're trying to read facial cues, and they're not giving you any, you go, I guess I don't know what to do. Even when you think you made a really good joke and they're just going, you're going, oh,
right.
All right.
That's me when I say dad jokes around my kids.
That's anybody when they say dad jokes.
Yeah.
And it's a little different for you guys too. We do have to say it's a little different game here. And the reason is because you guys are a lot of times, or maybe I'm wrong, but some of the people you correspond with, you don't even know. So like, most of, again, during this meet my friends thing, I can really consider almost every single person that I've had on as a friend, meaning we had beers together, we shared time. There was that, connection of emotional connection or even friendship connection where we went back and forth where it would be even harder. And I don't know, eventually I'm going to hopefully get into the area where I'm, people are referring to me and I can just start doing people who I don't familiar with, but having that whatever that word was, having that connection is really helpful, especially in times like this. Because again, we and I, before pre-production, I was making fun of you guys, and like, because again, you guys are like my friends. So like, if you're a friend of mine, I have to make fun of you. That's part of that's how it works for me. If I can't make fun of you, then we can't be friends. This is just how it works. So, but that helps with the whole back and forth, and so that's why it seems a real natural for me. And I'm just trying to have a conversation too. And I think you guys, I get that from you guys too, where it's not really an interview. It's more of like we're having a beer, and I just turned on this camera.
Yep,
pretty much. And that's kind of how we always bill it to people who we are interviewing, because there are those people who we haven't met them until we show up there that day. Especially early on, there were a few where like we were just communicating over emails, just sending out cold leads, trying to like connect with these people. So yeah, we showed up on the day and it's like, okay, good to finally meet you in person. But yeah, you always have to preface it like, we're just having a conversation. Pretend these cameras aren't here, even though you're staring down the barrel of this thing and it's scary. Like, yeah,
right.
And that's why we always try to have the person on camera drinking a beer too, because that helps loosen them up. As well as it also kind of grounds them in place too, so you don't have the people like moving around like doing this and that. So the boom mic is like trying to follow them around and it might dip into the shot and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's stuff I never even think about. Like, because Greg and I, part of the genius of Greg doing this live is like, we don't have to edit anything.
Right.
If it happens,
mistakes are cool. Like, you guys have set a standard, especially again on your brewery ones. The vlog's a little bit different. It's more free flowing, and you get that vibe. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? We're here, we're just humans. It's cool. Again, when I look at your brewery videos, man, like, you guys set a high standard there. So like, I'm even kind of looking like, oh, like, when you set a high standard and your shit's really good, it's easy to see the flaws. How about that? And then it's a lot less easy to pick the flaws out when, you know, like Doug says, when it's live. And yesterday I had Darren on, and Darren's kids were literally in the room jumping on him, and it was great. It was great. But at some point, though, if I was editing that, I might think that I might want to edit that out. Why? It was a great. We were talking about fatherhood. We were talking about being fathers and all that. So of course that's in the mix that your kids got into your shop. Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
And,
so Doug's right. Like, it just gives us a little bit of like, oh, we can just get on Friday nights and just drink and just not even care. And that's, you know, it's continued to be that. And I don't know. I hold a little bit of a higher standard for Meet My Friends, just because I want to make sure that my friends are seen in the light that they want to be seen in, and then they get their word out. So there's a little bit more structure there. But on Friday nights, there's no structure, and if there ever is, it's not going to ever work.
Yeah. we don't plan. I mean, if it ever seems like we kind of planned anything, it wasn't. I pull maybe at best 5 minutes of pulling beer news before we go on. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you know, I get, what are we going to talk about? And I go, we're going to talk about beer, and just try to follow my lead, and hopefully we'll do this. Like I said, Troy gets it. Mm-hmm. My wife is starting to get it. She's not one of those people that really does well without a structure. So you'll notice some nights where she'll throw this huge curveball at me, and I'm going, I don't know where the hell that came from, and I can't answer that. And I'm sorry you feel stupid that I can't answer it, but it is what it is. And then I get hell after we shut the camera off. We don't show that, but
why not? Come on,
yeah,
man.
right. Hey, we don't really edit anything out. To be honest with you, I can show you. See if I can share my screen here.
Speaking about the vlogs, anyway, we do edit the brewery showcases.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but that's just because we want those people to look as best as they can.
Don't change that shit, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sharing that right now. Maybe I'm not.
You can share
it. Did you guys see the beer explosion that happened on our vlog?
You touched it on that one that I watched, but I didn't see the actual explosion. That actually happened to me on a show where I opened it and it just went whoosh, and I was like,
yeah. So
I might have been a little tipsy at that point, so I might not.
And it was getting heckled by people watching the show. It was great.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Anyway, sorry,
Landon. We were like on the third beer. I think it was the last beer. And when you're that far in already, you're never going to reshoot it. And to be honest with you, most of the time we post every Thursday morning. And when you're that far in on a Wednesday night, and you're like, we got to get this done.
Right.
And when the third beer explodes on you, or even the second, hell, you go, well, we're going to do it. And so, I mean, I did the rest of the show with beer all over my shirt.
Yeah.
You were not happy about it either.
It was actually this shirt. And people that know me know that I wasn't happy about it. If you watch it and you have no idea, like, my facial expressions, you never would have known that I was pissed off.
Ever the professional.
What show is this? What is it called? What is the show called?
The actual clip is out there right now. It just says the infamous beer explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
it's like the fifth one down. It's pink. It's a pink beer, and of course it had to be bright pink, and it just went freaking everywhere. I still find spots on this bench today. I mean, I could probably find one for you right now.
If you go into our videos and do uploads, it should be one of the more recent ones that we've uploaded.
Yeah. There it is. Fourth one in on the top.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's watch it.
It's from 608 in La Crosse, and it starts out, it's okay, but then it really and of course
And they're all like scared.
Troy. So they
Look at the face.
That's like a milk coming out.
Yeah. That's a
Oh,
memory. That's a memory.
look at the face. Look at it. What?
And yeah, to your credit, Landon, you kept going through that episode and very professional. Like it didn't fall off the rails at all. But
I would like
me
to say
sitting
that
at home watching it, I'm like, oh, Landon's so pissed right now. Landon is so pissed.
That's years of broadcast training right there.
So how many F-bombs did you drop after the show was done?
Internally, I dropped all of them immediately. we try to keep the show pretty clean. Troy, will drop.
Has no filter.
Yeah, he has no filter. He doesn't. I'll give him heck about it on the show anytime he drops something. But we obviously are not made for kids. We're a beer show, so if you swear a little bit, it's fine. We say most of our swearing for our podcast, but that seems to be the more appropriate place these days to just let it all out. And so that's what we do. We just started an actual regular podcast. I think we've done 3 episodes, something like that, 4 maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah, I was like,
before that, we were just recycling the vlog content as an audio podcast.
We were. We're not anymore.
Not anymore. No.
Is that also called Taproom Travelers?
It's the Taproom Travelers After Hours podcast. You can find it on most of
anywhere you find podcasts.
Yeah, pretty much.
cool.
Okay.
It's so I mean that's if you want more stories about Menards for the people that are in the Midwest that want kind of insider stuff. Last week we went down that old dusty trail and decided to relive.
We really got into the weeds there. I was thinking about that afterwards. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said some of those things.
I don't really care anymore. I don't work there.
Can I get that right here after Hours podcast?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so Greg has seen my from my last job, some of the things that I would post where we had a guy who would fall asleep at the desk right next to me every day.
We had one of those too.
Yeah, we had one of those. He still works there.
I would take pictures and post them because I was just so fucking mad. Like here I am, my boss would if I was not at my desk for 5 minutes, he'd be texting me, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm on the toilet." Like this guy's just passed out asleep in his chair. So yeah, that sometimes some people weren't too pleased with me posting it in that group, but I was like, hey, I'm frustrated and I can't post it publicly. Yeah. So sometimes getting into those little not so fun parts of your job, you need to kind of let out too. So
yeah, we actually had an intern who fell asleep in a meeting with Landon's boss.
Yeah. That was fun. when you're the boss of the department and she falls asleep, you're going, oh, to hell with my life. Just my boss was the one that made me hire. So I kind of wanted to say, well, you made me hire, so there's what you get, man.
Yeah.
You guys have you guys obviously have, I would assume, especially up north, you guys have a good connection with a lot of the breweries there. A lot of people who are in the field, all that. So we've been asking everybody who is beer centric on the show about, especially people who know the industry like you guys do, and are very connected. What do you guys think are the best things that we could do to help our breweries during this time of pandemic? We've heard a bunch of different ideas, so I just wanted to see if you guys had any ideas, maybe even outside of I could eliminate some. Obviously, support their beer and buy where you can, but anything else?
I mean, I would say if you can, if you want to go out and buy beer, if you feel safe doing it, then go into their actual tap room if they're open, or curbside, or whatever it is that they're offering. Make sure that the money is getting to them. I mean, a lot of these places have beer in the liquor store and that kind of thing, but the actual money that they're getting is not as much as if you just
buy it
go and buy it directly. Yeah. And so I went and did that. I bought like $50 worth of beer from Lazy Monk the other day just because, and it was nice to see Gordy, one of our favorite bartenders down there. He was down there. It was good to see him again. Hadn't seen him in almost 2 months.
Mhm.
So
I miss Gordy.
yeah, Gordy's a good guy, and that's the thing. You make connections with people anyway, and so you see a lot of these people. So it's good to get out and see those. Hopefully, see those people again. That's one way. I would say social media is so big right now. I mean, we're all at home. So social media, if you can, if you're any good at social media, dig up those old pictures, promote the heck out of them. You've probably got old pictures of you sitting at your favorite tap room, either by yourself or with people or the beer that's there, or whatever it is, just do that kind of thing. One of the guys that we met out at a Beer Now, Aloe, was doing, a Drink the Story campaign. And that's a, do that kind of stuff. If you don't want to do Drink the Story, then don't. But actually, that's a great thing to do. Do hashtag Drink the Story. Just tell your story about the place. I did a couple of them, and you don't do it for praise. You do it to help them out. And they're so appreciative of it. Just tell your story about them. And someday we're going to be able to go back to these breweries anyway. Mm-hmm. And say, especially to people that have never been there, like Ambibulous, that's in Altoona. I did a Drink the Story about them like a week ago or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're not as well known. I mean, I think they'd been open 6-7 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. And
almost a year.
Yeah. Well, I think they were supposed to open in July. I don't think they actually did last year, but
okay.
Anyway, some of those places were just getting their feet wet when this damn thing happened, and people didn't know about them, or they were going to go try them and they haven't done it yet. Do those kinds of things. Even Lazy Monk, if you don't follow them on Instagram or Facebook, or they haven't been doing any Instagram lately, mostly Facebook, you probably wouldn't know the story that's going on with them. Teresa had some health problems, and they were going through all of that while this was going on, and so they're still humans. They're just like you and I. They just run a business that we all like to go to and drink beer. They just happen to be making some of our favorite beverages. So and it goes for all small businesses, really. My wife owns a salon. It's how do you help those places out? You promote them as best as you can. You talk them up. That way, when we're able and willing to go back out, they get frequented a little more. And maybe they won't. Maybe some of the Bud Light drinkers will decide that, hey, maybe I should go try something different other than Bud Light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've seen, to your point about salon workers, I've seen folks who actually will send tips to their hairdressers.
Yep.
And because even though they're not getting their hair done, they know that that's their livelihood. My wife and I is one of our friends. She owns a salon. She can't do anything, and she owns a salon herself. She has no other employees. She's just herself. So she's her own business. She's her own income, and hey, how can we help? There's ways. I think something that's come out of this is the idea that we see people actually willing to go out and help. Like none of us is like in this group, none of us are like, hey, I'm independently wealthy, so here's a bunch of so you're taking what little money you can and throwing it towards people that are really struggling. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I went and picked up some beer last week or the week before, and I gave them a pretty hefty tip and the guy looked at the receipt and was like, wow, man, thanks. So it's like, hey man, you guys are not getting your tap room stuff. Like, try to help. I want to see you guys here when all this is done. So,
well, and that's the thing that we'd been preaching even before all this happened. There were breweries closing here and there. It wasn't a big thing, but the thing you always got to say is, if you like beer, go and drink it. Go drink it from the place that you like it, because if you're not doing it, then it might go away. Mm-hmm. So, and it's even more evident now than it's ever been.
And Andy was talking about a little bit in pre-production about how he went to one of our favorite breweries, Giant Jones, and it's funny too because, or Andy, I'll let you talk about it, but I've been trying to schedule Giant Jones for Meet My Friends forever, and then I find out yesterday on their social media why. It's because they said they've been bottling almost every single day since the pandemic started. So it was funny because I hit them up and I was like, ladies, I know that you're not busy because you guys said you're suspending, your operations. So let's get on and talk. And they were like,
They are busy.
Later.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on them, and I they're fantastic. So I will wait another 3 months if I have to. I don't really care. But Andy went and just got a whole bunch of beer from them. So I don't know, Andy, if you want to talk about, what are you seeing down here as far as Madison goes, about what breweries are doing?
Mostly just the curbside pickup. Giant Jones doesn't have much of a curbside because it's just Jessica and Erica working there. So they have a big garage door. So they're just kind of doing a no-touch on-site sale. So you can go and buy bottles and cases there.
How does that
doing one today, actually.
I'm sorry, Andy. How does that look?
Good. Everything seems very safe. Everybody's keeping, you're still able to maintain a social distance. You do have to go up to a counter and pay with a card or something like that, but
right.
They have the card reader out. They don't have to touch it. So if you just hold on your card, you stick it in there, you pull your card out, you're not touching any of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, they're still sanitizing everything after you leave. So yeah, it seems very streamlined and safe, which is good.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah. He's wait. I don't know if you guys know. Do you guys see any of these? I know there's not one in Madison, or there's a suitable one, but in Milwaukee they have a beer drive up, and I believe it's 12 breweries, and people just drive up, and you order, and they put it in your trunk, and you get out.
Eau Claire does the best version of one of that they can. You can go to the Brewing Project, and you can get Brewing Project, Lazy Monk, and Modicum there. So you can actually just do that on their website. They have it on their website. You can reserve whatever beer you want. Because of our antiquated Wisconsin laws, you can't pay for the right. You can't actually pay for the beer. You put $1 deposit down on the beer essentially, so that they can have a transaction to run, and then you pay for the rest of it when you get there. So you still have to touch an iPad. It's not they bring it out to you, and they bring the iPad out, and they're all masked up, and if that's your thing. So they're doing, and they sanitize the iPad and all that. But that's the best that we can do here. Coffee Grounds, it does. Why can't I always think K-Point? Can't think of the K-Point. Jeez, it's just one of those. It's just one of those names that you go. It doesn't really stick in my head. I don't know. I'm terrible with names.
Anyway, I like that place, but go on.
Yeah, I like it too. And we'd actually gone there just before we went into quarantine, not that long ago.
Yeah, and I made a last minute trip up to Eau Claire to restock my kegerator with some Lazy Monk beer.
Yeah.
And that was about a week and a half before the Safer at Home went into place. So got under the radar just in time.
So they're still doing crowlers. You have to go in. I mean, Coffee Grounds is still open, but they have a walk-up window. So if you call, they have basically everything there. So when we first went into quarantine, we didn't have any yeast for bread. And we called and said, Candace, can we get some yeast for bread? And she goes, I'll just put some in a baggie for you or whatever, how much you want. I don't even know if she charges for it. So we bought a bunch of beer, and she pulls beer from everywhere. So if you want Drecker and things that you really can't get in the bigger liquor stores, she's got it. She's going to be the place that gets all that stuff. And so you can get K-Point beer, and then you can get all kinds of other crazy stuff. And the bourbon and whiskey selection there is top of the notch. It's great.
Yeah, Candace is definitely one of the better beer buyers I've ever met. She definitely keeps that place stocked.
Paul says he paid online, and I've been paying online here, so this must be just an Eau Claire thing.
I don't know. That's
bullshit.
That's what Brewing Project says anyway. So he claims it's state laws. So I don't know. I don't study beer laws. I'm just mad at their beer laws. Period.
Yeah, unless Madison's in a different state, he's wrong. But going Doug, he's wrong because I've done it. Go Doug.
I don't know if I can add more to that. Jeez.
Oh, well, hey, maybe he wants to come on the show and tell me why I'm wrong. So it's great. It'd be fantastic. But there's not that many people who watch it, so it's fine. Go, Doug.
Man, I watch it.
I don't know. Maybe he'll get it. What's up, Doug?
Nothing. So I went a little bit sideways. I like that stuff. So in New York State,
I got you.
In New York State, we've had a lot of drive ups. You can do that. There are actually some distilleries who have to go through a special process and get almost like a licensing to mail their liquor, which how it works here. Like in some states, like you can go to the store and they have liquor and wine and beer all in the same place. That's not how it is in New York. You would think us being considered a super liberal state that kind of law stuff would not be in place, but it is. So yeah, I think it's a large learning process for like a big learning curve for everybody, just to figure out what's the correct way, what is the safest way. So yeah.
Well, don't get me started on this liberal conservative shit, because sorry, because they both have reasons why they should support this. If you're truly for business conservatives, you would be for this. If you're truly for opening things and having a big mind about things, liberals, you will be for this. So it goes beyond that ideology thing, Doug. I'm not trying to, it annoys me to tears because, again, both of them, ideology-wise, should have a reason to support small businesses. Period. That end. It should be a non-fucking partisan thing. Sorry. What's the next question?
Minnesota's to go off a little to our neighbors to the west. Minnesota's having issues because their laws still don't allow them to sell 12-ounce and 16-ounce cans on premise.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, exactly. Right. Now's the time you should be able to bring in a 5-gallon bucket. If you want to fill beer in a 5-gallon bucket and they want to sell it to you, you should be able to do it, because they're dumping beer left and right over there because they can't sell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because most of their business was draft sales, and there is no draft sales right now.
Right.
And most of their business is shipping to, restaurants, and they just ship kegs out, and the restaurants just evaporate them, and it just keeps going, and that's just not happening. And I don't know, it's just funny though, because again, they can find laws to, in my opinion, spy on us, restrict us to our house, do all these different things, but meanwhile they can't, again, do these simple things. They're just over, especially in Washington. I'm on a political rant. Holy shit. Especially in Washington.
Would expect nothing less from you, Greg.
They want to fucking send you money. They're like, oh, here's a check. And they're not going to do anything like fucking practical. Like, let breweries deliver. Let breweries sell their beer. Let breweries give away some of it for charity. I've had problems where I've been trying to do like beer tastings and things in different states when I go to these conferences. So I'll go to a conference, and then like especially Home Dad Con, and I'll say to the guys at Home Dad Con, do you guys want me to do a beer and wine tasting or something? And they're like, great. And I was like, and I could probably work with a brewery to give us the beer. We just have to have people show up and we'll be fine. Oh no, breweries can't give away beer. Like, to charity. What?
Yeah.
Like, where does this make sense in any ideology ever? And that's why I get frustrated, because again, this is nonpartisan. You want to help out our mom and pop shops? Let's go.
Your rant just forced Andy to drink the rest of his beer really fast.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the ABV on the Pale Weizenbach again? Oh, 8.3.
We have a comment
drinking, everybody.
About New York. I don't know if you want to comment on this one, but
well, New York City
New York is odd for sure.
Well, the thing is, New York State is actually, there's a lot of very rural parts of New York. It's a really huge state. It's not small. And the thing is, New York City, it's part of the state, but it's almost like its own little entity. It has a lot of different laws, and they do things a lot differently, because the sensibilities there are different than from where I live, which is up by Binghamton. So there's a lot of farms, a lot of rural, so the sensibilities are different. So I don't know if that plays a lot into it. It just, New York City kind of does their own thing a lot of times, and it usually works out fine. But yeah, it's different.
Yeah, New York City is a big pink elephant in the room as far as New York State goes. Mm-hmm. And my going to your house was one of the first times. Actually, it was the first time that I literally drove through New York State and didn't have any connection or any like touching of New York City. Usually I go to New York City and I come up north and then you figure it out. But no, it's just vastly two different places. But again, at the end of the day, they still have the same needs. And I know that there's beer delivery in New York. I know that for a fact. Daniel Fisher.
There is a New York City.
Right. So not up north. And again, why is there two different standards? I don't know. But again, hopefully we can move past, again, beer being partisan. Beer's not partisan, people. Beer's beer. Beer's not politics. It's, come on, people. So this is simple. This isn't.
It's all about money in the end, and
yes.
And how can they tie it up in in their bureaucratic way? And I could go on forever about that too. But
right.
It's since this whole thing started. The really big new, we'll call it the new craft beer boom, started about the time that we started our show, and so. When you throw all of that in at the same time, I'm totally against, let's law the crap out of everything. Mm-hmm. But everybody already had things on the books, and a lot of it was antiquated. And a lot of it's still antiquated because it goes back to Prohibition times. So when they open it up from Prohibition, they kind of opened it up a little bit and went, yeah, beer, whatever. And then, they haven't really progressed at all. And so you're still forcing a lot of these states to look at the laws that they have. I mean, this, Greg, when we're out in Montana, you're only allowed a certain amount in ounces per brewery, and then they're only allowed so many hours that they're open a day. Alaska's the same way. You're allowed, I think, what basically is a flight in each place a day, and that's it.
Yep.
So, yep. I mean, it's ridiculous. When I was in Alaska, I went into one place and they're very strict about it because there must be people out there just looking to see if they're not following the rules. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm not a local, and so they're going, I don't know, maybe this is a guy from the department trying to test this to see.
Right.
It's like, man, I'm just
in there though, man. You got the lumberjack look.
Yeah, right.
In deep voice. I mean, it's all in there.
I was trying to make them
on yourself and walk in there like you're a lumberjack.
Right.
I was trying to make him feel it. Of course, I was dressed up. I was there for work, so it was just some free time that I had, and I really just wanted a beer. And so, of course, I still have some work clothes on, and it's nicer. And I'm sure they thought, man, this guy's from the government. He's definitely here to check us out. And so they're like, no, you can only have so many ounces a day. And I wanted a flight and like a small pour of another. And they're like, nope, you got to decide between these many glasses, and that's it. That's all you get. Jeez.
Wow.
For all the screaming about opening up the economy, again, these are little ways that our economy can still go when we're closed down. But whatever, I'm done preaching. So I'm done. Well, no, I'm done for this hour. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, we have the after show yet, so get ready.
Do want to touch one thing before I let you guys go. There is a and Doug's heard me talk about it a couple times. There is a different. I don't know what's going on up there in Eau Claire, but there's an interesting dynamic going on here in Madison where we have, and again, where we have Ale Asylum. I don't know if you got anything from them, Andy, but it's very, very something to look into. And the reason is because they're selling Hopalicious for $6 a 6-pack. They're selling Hopalicious, that Hopalicious, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we all know Ale Asylum's they're a big place, and they move a lot of beer. They have like 3 or 4 or 5 affiliate places, which is like people who own Ale Asylum places get the beer, but they run the place themselves and all that. So there's that, and then we have Working Draft Company, who, in order for you to be able to get any of their beer, you have to get into a lottery. You have to win the lottery, and then you get a chance, once you win the lottery, then you get a chance to get curbside pickup. So it's really interesting here in Madison. Obviously, Working Draft is smaller, newer place. They don't do the volume, and they don't have a centrifuge and all that wonderful shit that fucking Ale Asylum has. But at the same time, Ale Asylum still could, maybe I'm wrong, Maybe I don't know their supply chain thing. They could probably. I would still go and buy Hopalicious for $9 for a 6-pack. $6 though. I'm there, and I'm always going to be there, and I'm ready to go next week. And I don't. I like Hopalicious, but I don't. It's not my go-to. In fact, I haven't had it for a while before I got the 6-pack. So I don't know if you. I don't know if Landon, you're seeing that kind of diversity up there as far as this goes, and B, Andy, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing down here in Madison, which is kind of like a. It just seems to be like I don't know, have nots, or I'm not sure what's going on.
As far as like beer being introduced and that kind of thing, or like there's no real discounts. I don't think they're having to dump anything. I don't think they're really, heavily discounting anything, at least that I've seen. Things seem to be kind of going the way they were before all of this started, other than, no draft sales. And so I'm not entirely sure what they did with their draft lines, if they just decided to try to can it or what. And I really don't care, to be honest with you. Whatever you got to do in these times, just try to,
do to get by.
Do whatever you got to do to get by. And that's all of us. Yeah.
Right.
So, and I don't know from that standpoint. I know that they're still putting out the beer that they were planning on putting out. Like the Lazy Monk Maibach, that was, that just came out, and
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and this year's is amazing. I don't remember. Maybe I just hadn't had it in a while, but this one tastes amazingly good. Brewing Project is still putting out their regular stuff. They're brewing different things. They did the All Together. You guys have probably seen that different breweries are doing the All Together beer. They did that one. It wasn't too surprising that nobody else did it, because it's just not their thing to do. Not that they don't care, not that they don't want to do things for their employees. It just wasn't one of those beers that they were really gonna, do. So,
Andy, you seen anything down here?
So we've been kind of locked down a little bit more than most people, I feel like. So I haven't really been going. We did a vintage curbside pickup the other day, which was fun.
I want to do that.
Yeah, they've got a good system going. You can order everything online. They just give it to you right in a car. It's basically operating just like a drive-through restaurant at this point.
Did you get food?
Yeah, we got food and then a Kreller of their Maibach, because I love my Maibachs.
And this is the time of year for them.
Exactly.
Right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a Crowler of that. And then other than that, I've just been going to Giant Jones when they do their on-site bottle sales. But everything else I've been picking up at Steve's over by Hy-Vee and Target here in the, whatever you want to call it, the south side.
Yeah, Andy. A good tip is if you're interested, Garth's Beer Bar will do no contact. And you can look on his website and you can see all the bottles and all the Crowlers, and you can just email him, and you can literally pay over the phone, pull up, put it in your trunk, and you can get out of there.
Yeah.
So and he has
definitely that's been on my radar, because I know he carries some Olifant stuff up in Somerset, Wisconsin.
Yes, and your Brewing Project too, and Drecker all day long. So yeah, that's a good one for sure.
Sure.
Doug, I've screened you out a little bit. You got something to add that these guys have been throwing out?
No, because you're discussing like Wisconsin stuff, and I'm not in Wisconsin, which is fine, because it's something like this is a microcosm where you're at, and every place is different. So, but hearing how everybody's trying to do their part to help is good. So I'm glad to see you guys are still sticking with it and doing what you can to help all these breweries.
And Doug, you've been doing your beer shopping, so there's no delivery there or anything. They're doing curbside, right? Or the breweries are doing curbside, but you usually get your stuff at the supermarket, right?
Well, I try to get there's some of the really smaller local breweries here don't have stuff there, so I have to go to the breweries. But there's other stuff, like there's breweries in Syracuse and stuff like that put their stuff there. I picked up something from Buffalo, from a place called Thin Man, which makes some really interesting beers. I had a peanut butter imperial stout last night that was really delicious. Ooh. But yeah, the grocery store that's near me is Wegmans. Wegmans is a big chain out here. And they have a pretty, I mean, you went with me to Wegmans. They have a pretty robust
Right.
beer selection for a grocery store. So
it mirrors Woodman's here. But Woodman's is more Wegmans is more like integrated, meaning like you walk in the supermarket, you can go to the liquor store, whereas Woodman's has a little bit of they have like a door, but it's just the same thing. Like it's just vast, big, it has everything close, tight. Yeah, so that's good. So one last question for you fellas. Are there plans? Are you guys too afraid to look ahead as far as planning brewery stops? Or are we like that anxious that we're like, look, when this opens, this is what we're doing?
I mean, I think that Pablo stuff is going to...
Go on, Andy, I'm sorry.
I think that Pablo stuff Landon was talking about is going to spool back up pretty quickly once things can open up safely.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That was a good thing that we had going.
That was our big plan for 2020. Really was getting that up and running.
Surprisingly, it was popular. We did one, and then people like tickets were selling out. They'd sold out basically the whole thing, and I thought they do know that Troy and I are doing this, right? That they're going to have to look at us. No, I even said that the last one we did, I stood up there in front of all of them and I said, "You're back. Why?" I'm glad you're here, but you do know that we're going to be here all of these times, and it's going to be us. You have to stare at us. No, you're good. Everybody's good. All right,
let's go.
And then we started. But
if you kind of want to see what those were like too, we do have, was it 2 of those tasting notes?
Yeah,
on
2
our
of
YouTube
them.
channel?
Yep.
So
okay, I have the wrong website up now, but while we're here, we're gonna. I just want everybody to know, if you guys want to get any Taproom Travelers gear, I have the link there, and here's what the website looks like. Actually, I told you guys I got stalled on buying one. I think it was this one, but I'm gonna jump in here soon after that and buy me a shirt. I haven't been able to. When was the last time I bought a beer shirt? That's what I do. I go places buy beer shirts. So anyway, I don't know if you guys want to talk about this a little bit, or it is what it is. And
I mean, it's not these are vintage. They don't make these anymore. The ones that I'm wearing, I don't know if Andy's got his on, but yeah. These are one of a kind. You can get something similar to that on our website. At
much higher quality.
Yeah, much higher quality. But I have that hooded sweatshirt, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I actually lost some weight, so I can fit into it better now. So
you're losing weight. How are you?
Yeah. I actually got into
I can't stop cramming food in my face. So
I walked 6 miles a day. I got to do something. I got to get out of the house. Actually, I started in January and I lost 30 pounds because there was a thing going on at work. So money was involved and I was motivated. So I learned how to play Sim Farm and walk on the treadmill. So that did it for me. It wouldn't do it for a lot of people, but that did it for me.
Now you just need to buy a Switch and get into that Animal Crossing everybody's talking about.
You could play Fortnite. I can't play Fortnite on the treadmill. I'll fall off. But farming is easy enough to do. There's not a lot of button pushing and joystick moving, but man, that Fortnite, you gotta really pay attention, otherwise you fall off. So
I'm going to say that I personally don't really dig the Animal Crossing Minecraft. Here, you got to harvest all this stuff and build all this stuff. It feels like a new version of Farmville that everybody used to send to you on Facebook. And I'm like, I just want to go and blow some stuff up. Like, I don't want to think too much about things like that.
You don't want to actually have a job that you don't get paid for.
Exactly.
See, that's Fortnite. You just go shoot some people and then you're done. And then you go back in, you shoot some more people, and then you're done. It's a great way to get aggression out.
Lennon's kids are mad at him for being better at Fortnite than they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My kids say that's Fortnite. Nobody plays that anymore. They're all just like, yeah, go over there, old man.
Fortnite is so 2019.
Yeah, that's me. Behind the times.
I'd rather be 2019 and 2020 any day.
I agree. I thought 2019 was bad. Boy,
Boy, that's where we wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, 2019 was a picnic. Come on now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. On that note, we could sit here. What was it? Were you guys talking about how if you have chemistry with somebody, you get to sit here and talk for hours?
You could, yeah.
Hours. But I'm gonna let you guys roll here. It's been fantastic. Again, showcasing your stuff, talking about breweries. We need to do this often and more. Andy and I were already, and Landon, we were already talking about doing content together. So I hope that we can, work on that. I'm open to work on whenever, guys. So if you guys have something, show me an idea. Even during this pandemic, I'm looking for, more and more things to do to keep my mind off of this. This show is part of it, and it's also enabled me to talk to my friends at the same time and showcase the good shit that my friends are doing, and bring my friend Doug along. So I'm just loving all of it, except for the circumstances that put us here. It's kind of hard to love that shit. Yeah. But other than that, fellas, do you have anything to close on, or
man? We'll get you guys on the podcast. We haven't had any guests yet, so we'll do that, and then we're working on doing the live thing for ourselves. We've got there's bugs we probably end up having to work out for our vlog, but we'll have you guys on the vlog too if we can get all those bugs worked out and figure out a way to make that go, because it's kind of like this, it's BSing and drinking beer. So
right. And once things are able to open back up, Greg, you and I need to take a trip up to Eau Claire and we can actually do the vlog in person.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. We need to do some, again, we're just pitching out loud here in front of everyone, but we need to, Andy and I were talking about doing some tastings together, and I get some people here, and we can get into some breweries down here. And
just want to do them in Alaska.
Yeah, just not in Alaska. You do one tasting and then you get kicked out.
And then you're done.
Yep.
So thanks, fellas. It's been fantastic. Keep up the as much as work as you can, and once the pandemic starts or ends, I should say.
Man, let's hope it's
not starting again.
If it didn't start yet, what the hell? Anyway,
yeah, right.
You can see where I'm at. Once the pandemic ends, we need to get together and start, doing more content. And again, hopefully we can get back to at least somewhat of a normal thing here. So
absolutely.
We're gonna see you guys in a little bit. We're gonna end the show here, and then we'll see you guys after.
Sounds good. Thanks, Greg and Doug.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So, yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. They're awesome, especially if you go to their website, see their YouTube stuff. Again, it really is. Again, they see what they do for I guess they got a crew too, so that's helpful. But to see what they do for
but it looks it's not a big crew, and their stuff is slick and smooth and really looks super polished.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah, I don't know. And the great guys, they're fun as hell. And it's funny, when we first met, like it really only took like 5 or 10 minutes for us to start like, shut up, Landon. Shut up, Andy. What the hell? Like it was just natural that we would just start like snipping at each other and stuff like that. So it's cool, man. Let's see here. What do we have? Oh, we have Doug.
Oh, we have Fan Dads tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't even have a damn.
That's all right.
This is my.
That was for today.
Right. Well, we definitely next week we have Kerry Jaworski, who is from Third Space Brewing, which is a really nice brewery out of Milwaukee, but he is based in Madison. So we'll be able to talk to him. We got more beer, Wisconsin beer coming. We're also talking to the Wisconsin beer baron, Chris Drosner, which everybody knows him here. He's a friend of mine. And actually, again, I'm surprised that even Chris, like, he's a great blogger. He's a great beer guy. He's a source here. And I'm happy that I can just even have him on my show. So that's Tuesday night, Doug, at 8:30. You should be involved. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm going to go cook some tacos.
Yeah, I got to start working on. I'm smoking some turkey legs, so I got to get on that.
You want to smoking, man? Brisket, turkey legs, man.
Hey, man, I got time. I got all the time, dude.
you're gonna spoil those people. They're gonna want the shaft.
Yeah, when I talked to my sons yesterday when I went and saw them, and I was like, I made all this different food, and they're like, what? They were so mad that I made all this different stuff, and they're like, I was like, don't worry, when you guys come back up again, when things are back to normal, I'll make all that stuff again. So yeah,
absolutely, yeah. And I like to say less is more, but you apparently doing more, Doug. Good work.
Not all that, but okay.
Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Fan Dads,
Yep.
7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. It's going to be interesting. Video games, fatherhood, comics, movies, all the shit that I don't participate in, but they're going to school me.
Oh, but it's going to be pop culture stuff and stuff like that. So it's going to be great. It'll be fun. It'll be a different branch. It'll be like today you talked a lot about Wisconsin beer, which I'm not familiar with. And tomorrow we talk about video games, which I am very familiar with. So
you guys are going to school me. So
yeah.
I'm clicking end to this. We had a great time. Again,
Yeah.
thanks to Taproom Travelers. And we'll see you guys tomorrow evening. Cheers.
Cheers.